Hello everyone. We are glad to welcome you back to this month's edition of BookKey. In BookKey, we bring to you top book recommendations under 5 different categories that cater to the tastes of a large audience. These categories are Spotlight, where we discuss recently published books that are informative as well as insightful. Hidden Gem, where we unravel to you rare gem of books lost in the annals of time. The Classic World, where we look at the evergreen classics which never lose relevance. The Untold, where we lift the veil on lesser known stories and facts about popular books and authors. And Top 5, where we suggest to you 5 of the best reading choices from the current bestsellers. This time in our first section, Spotlight, we bring to you 2 book recommendations that are very pertinent to the current times. Our first recommendation is an insightful and informative book, No Rules, Rules, Netflix and the Culture of Reinvention by Reed Hastings and Erin Meyer. Published by Virgin Books, 4.6 stars on Amazon and 4.3 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. In this book, shortlisted for the 2020 Financial Times and McKinsey Business Book of the Year, Netflix co-founder Reed Hastings reveals for the first time the unorthodox culture behind one of the world's most innovative, imaginative and successful companies. Netflix, which was launched in 1998 as an online DVD rental service, has had to reinvent itself over and over again, and this type of unprecedented flexibility would have been impossible without the counterintuitive and radical management principles that co-founder Reed Hastings established from the very beginning. Hastings rejected the conventional wisdom under which other companies operate and defied tradition to instead build a culture focused on freedom and responsibility. The book dives deep into the controversial ideologies at the heart of the Netflix psyche, which have generated results that are the envy of the business world. Drawing on hundreds of interviews with current and past Netflix employees from around the globe and never before told stories of trial and error from Hastings' own career, No Rules, Rules is a fascinating and untold account of Netflix corporate philosophy. For anyone interested in creativity, productivity and innovation, the Netflix culture is something close to a holy grail. Reed Hastings is an entrepreneur who has revolutionized entertainment since co-founding Netflix in 1997, serving as its chairman and CEO since 1999. His first company, Pure Software, was launched in 1991 and acquired just before Netflix was launched. Reed served on the California State Board of Education from 2000 to 2004 and is an active educational philanthropist. Erin Meyer is a professor at INSEAD, one of the world's leading international business schools. Her work has appeared in Harvard Business Review, the New York Times, and Forbes.com. In 2019, Erin was selected by the Thinkers 50 as one of the 50 most influential business thinkers in the world. Cost of the Kindle edition is Rs 378. The other recommendation under this section is a thrilling, untold story of the cyber weapons market, the most secretive, invisible, government-backed market on Earth, and a terrifying first look at a new kind of global warfare. The book titled, This Is How They Tell Me the World Ends, The Cyber Weapons Arms Race by Nicole Perlroth is published by Bloomsbury Publishing and is rated at 4.6 on Amazon and 4.4 stars on Goodreads. In this book, Nicole Perlroth provides an eye-opening explanation for the ever-expanding cyber assaults on the United States, the way that Washington, in its careless rush to dominate the field, has created and hypercharged a wildly lucrative, entirely unregulated grey market for insanely dangerous digital weapons that private hackers develop and then sell to the highest bidder, which only sometimes is in the United States. Perlroth, a cybersecurity reporter at the New York Times, has written an intricately detailed, deeply sourced and reported history of the origins and growth of that market and the global cyber weapons arms race it has sparked. filled with spies, hackers, arm dealers, and a few unsung heroes, written like a thriller and a reference. This is how they tell me the world ends is an astonishing feat of journalism. Based on years of reporting and hundreds of interviews, Nicole Pearl Roth thus lifts the curtain on a market in shadow, revealing the urgent threat faced by us all if we cannot bring the global cyber arms race to heel. Nicole Pearl Roth spent a decade as the lead cybersecurity reporter at the New York Times. Her investigations rooted out Russian hacks of nuclear plants, airports, elections, and petrochemical plants, North Korea's cyber attack against Sony Pictures, Bangladesh banks and crypto exchanges, Iranian attacks on oil companies, banks, and dams, and thousands of Chinese cyber attacks against American businesses, including leading the investigation of the months long Chinese hack of the Times. Her outing of hacking divisions within China's PLA compelled the first United States hacking charges against the Chinese military and earned her the prestigious Best in Business Award from the Society of American Business Editors and Writers. She left the Times in 2021 to join the Department of Homeland Security's Cybersecurity Advisory Committee. Cost of the Kindle edition is Rs 336. In our second section, The Hidden Gem, this month we have an intriguing and unconventional book titled Total Competition: Lessons in Strategy from Formula One by most successful technical director in Formula One history, Ross Brawn, and the ex-chairman of Williams Formula One team, Adam Parr. Published by Simon & Schuster, 4.5 stars on Amazon and 3.9 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. Total Competition is the most compelling, comprehensive, and revealing insight into what it takes to get to the top in Formula One that has ever been published. In this fascinating book, presented as a frank conversation between Brawn and fellow Formula One competitor Adam Parr, Brawn reflects upon his career, shares the philosophies and methods that led to his success, and offers lessons that every leader working with teams at work, play, or home can use to achieve their own goals. Brawn and Parr share details about the unique pressures of Formula One racing and the intense, cutthroat world they inhabited, where coming in second place is never good enough. This book provides a blueprint for leading teams, imparting lessons such as embrace humility, invest in people and culture, strive for simplicity, manage complexity, and much more. This book will appeal not only to the millions of Formula One fans who want to understand how Brawn operates, it will also provide many lessons in how to achieve your own business goals. Here is an excerpt from the book. In early 2016, I met up with Ross in a quiet country hotel in Oxfordshire to put the idea to him. I suggested that we do a book on the subject of strategy together and that we do it in the form of a dialogue. Ross agreed, and in the spring, we sat down for a series of sessions which we recorded at Ross and Zon's house. The main part of the book is fairly raw transcript from those sessions. We have left them pretty much as they were recorded, to give a good sense of the discussion. The more raw, the better. We have split the discussion into two main sections. Part 1 is a review of Ross's career, and Part 2 covers his thinking on strategy and the elements that make it up, such as leadership, rhythms, and routines. Based on these sessions, I have pulled together some observations of what I see as the consistent patterns in what Ross did and how he describes it. I have also boiled these down to some basic principles. These principles are set out in Part 3, but I think it is useful to introduce them briefly here so that readers can have them in mind as they read the discussion and see if they reach the same conclusions as I have. Observation 1. Strategy is a system. Ross defines strategy as a philosophy from which process flows, but it is a philosophy of process. He describes it as integrating, applying processes and approaches, smoothing out. Ross developed his approach to leadership in the 1980s and he applied it consistently at Jaguar, Benetton, Ferrari, Honda Braun, and Mercedes. This was his system and he describes its various aspects for us. Observation 2. Avoid unnecessary conflict. Ross exemplified the principle that strategy is about winning, not fighting. The only place that he allowed conflict was on the racetrack, and then only between his whole team and others. Observation 3. Build trust consciously. For Ross, trust is a conscious thing. At its heart is the principle that underlies ethical teaching from Confucius to Christ. Treat people how you want to be treated yourself. Observation 4. Know yourself and know others. On the plus side, Ross attributes his rigorous routines to the need to control a certain natural laziness through the structure provided by rhythms and deadlines. On the downside, Ross was brought down by his failure to understand the people he was up against and, to an extent, himself. He would have survived if he had just been up against the external enemy, but the combination of the external enemy and the internal division between himself and others at Mercedes was lethal. In my questions to him, I tried to explore how this happened. How did someone with such good human understanding get into this situation? Observation 5. Embrace humility. Ross is fiercely proud of his achievement and in no doubt that these are his achievements. Still, he has much less ego than many people who might have less justification for it. As a result, he was able to be generous with his colleagues, encouraging others to take the podium and share the success. This is a rare and disarming characteristic. Across 4 decades, Ross Brown was one of the most innovative and successful technical directors and then team principals in Formula One. Leading Benetton, Ferrari, Honda, Braun, and Mercedes, he has worked with drivers such as Michael Schumacher, Jenson Button, and Lewis Hamilton to make them world champions. In 2017, he was appointed F1's managing director, motorsports, by the sport's new owners, Liberty Media. He retired from the sport at the end of 2013. Adam Parr is a businessman, investor, and lawyer whose career has taken him all over the world. Between 2006 and 2012, he was the CEO and then chairman of the Williams Formula One team, where he was responsible for bringing hybrid technology to the team as well as turning around its fortunes. Cost of the Kindle edition is Rs 307. Moving on to our next section, the Classic Vault. This month we have an indispensable classic on marketing. All Marketers Tell Stories. Published by Penguin USA, 4.4 out of 5 stars on Amazon and 3.9 stars on Goodreads, by the legendary business writer Seth Godin. Through this book, the author shows us how to discover and tell authentic stories that set you and your product or service apart from the competition. Every organization, from non-profits to car companies, from political campaigns to wine glass blowers, must understand that the rules for marketing have changed. The book elaborates how marketers succeed when they tell us a story that fits our worldview, a story that we intuitively embrace and then share with our friends. Successful marketers don't talk about features or even benefits. Instead, they tell a story we want to believe. Seth Godin is the author of more than a dozen bestsellers that have changed the way people think about marketing, leadership, and change. Seth Godin is the author of 19 international bestsellers that have been translated into over 35 languages and have changed the way people think about marketing and work. He is a recent inductee to the Marketing Hall of Fame and also a member of the Direct Marketing Hall of Fame and the Guerrilla Marketing Hall of Fame. He is an entrepreneur, the founder of several successful businesses, and a popular TED speaker. He writes one of the most influential business blogs in the world at sethgodin.com. Cost of paperback is Rs 466. The other book under this category is an incredibly moving novel, Admiring Silence, published by Bloomsbury Paperbacks, 4.3 stars on Amazon and 4 on Goodreads, by the winner of the Nobel Prize in Literature 2021, Abdul Razak Gurnah. In this book, Mr. Gurnah skillfully depicts the agony of a man caught between two cultures, each of which would disown him for his links to the other. The portrait that emerges is corrosively funny and relentless. The novel is a tale of an African man hopelessly enmeshed in a trap of his own making. After fleeing Zanzibar for England, the nameless narrator fathers a child by an English woman and struggles to come to terms with the racism he must confront, as well as his ambivalence towards becoming a part of the English society. The brittle and fragile existence he builds up for himself comes crashing down during a visit to his native land after many years away. There he realizes that he is an outcast from both worlds. Admiring Silence is a bitter look at the struggle to belong in an alien world. The author, Abdul Razak Gurna, is a Tanzanian-born British novelist and academic. He was born in the Sultanate of Zanzibar and moved to the United Kingdom in the 1960s as a refugee during the Zanzibar Revolution. His novels include Paradise, which came in 1994, which was shortlisted for both the Booker and the Whitbread Prize. Desertion, which came in 2005, and By the Sea of 2001, which was longlisted for the Booker and shortlisted for the Los Angeles Times Book Prize. He was awarded the Nobel Prize in Literature in 2021 for his uncompromising and compassionate penetration of the effects of colonialism and the fate of the refugee in the gulf between cultures and continents. Cost of the Kindle edition is Rs 280. In our next section titled The Untold, this month we bring to you the runaway international #1 bestseller, The Hunt for Red October, that launched Tom Clancy's spectacular career as an internationally renowned thriller author. Published by HarperCollins, 4.6 stars on Amazon and 4.1 on Goodreads. The Hunt for Red October was the first ever novel written by the author, who at that time had taken up selling insurance as a profession despite earning a degree in English literature. Clancy took the steps to truly change his life when in 1982 he began writing this novel. He sold the manuscript to the Naval Institute Press for $5,000, which was a substantial amount of money at that time. The first printing sold 45,000 copies. President Ronald Reagan read the novel and gave it an unequivocal endorsement, leading to the book selling more than 3 lakh hardcovers and over 2 million paperbacks. The novel, so gripping in its action and so convincing in its accuracy, continues to remain a masterpiece of military fiction till this date. In 1990, The Hunt for Red October, the movie, an adaptation of the novel, was put out in theatres, garnering many awards and nominations, including the Academy Award. However, not many would know that since the novel involved a highly complex storyline, it was challenging for Hollywood to adapt the story to the big screen. It wasn't until Mace Neufeld got executives from Paramount to lay eyes on the novel until there was a clear signal to create the movie. Another interesting fact about the renowned author is that most of his novels have been adapted to video games. Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege is an esports game hit, both for players and esports betting aficionados alike. One of the most popular games that transcend generations in gaming is Splinter Cell. The game is a mixture of a great narrative, tactical strategies, and stealth, which are all traits of a great Tom Clancy novel. Out of the many books Clancy wrote, 17 of those made their way to the New York Times bestseller list. The author passed away at the age of 66, the cause of his death still being unknown. Clancy's last major work of fiction, Command Authority, was released posthumously 2 months after his death and made it to the New York Times bestseller list. Cost of the Kindle edition is Rs 221. Moving ahead to our last and final section, Top 5, we bring to you our picks from the Crossword and Amazon bestsellers across different categories. In non-fiction category, we have Eat That Frog, 21 Great Ways to Stop Procrastinating and Get More Done in Less Time by Brian Tracy. 4.6 stars on Amazon, 3.9 on Goodreads. A startling title sets apart this simple yet effective guide on higher productivity and how to beat procrastination to manage your time better. The book lists down 21 different ways to get away from procrastination. The way Brian Tracy has presented and packaged the trite wisdom of time management is both novel and interesting. His advice is simple, sweet, yet wildly effective. It urges you to take note and then follow up by taking action. Published by Barrett Kohler publishers. Cost of the paperback is Rs 249. The second book is The Anthropocene Reviewed by John Green. 4.7 stars on Amazon and 4.4 on Goodreads. Goodreads Choice 2021 winner. A deeply moving and mind-expanding collection of personal essays in the first ever work of non-fiction from internationally best-selling author John Green. The Anthropocene is a current geological age in which human activity has profoundly shaped the planet and its biodiversity. In this remarkable symphony of essays adapted and expanded from this groundbreaking, critically acclaimed podcast, John Green reviews different facets of the human-centered planet, from the QWERTY keyboard to the Halley's Comet to penguins of Madagascar on a 5-star scale. Complex and rich with detail, the Anthropocene's reviews have been praised as observations that double as exercises and memoirist empathy, with over 10 million lifetime downloads. John Green's gift for storytelling shines throughout this artfully curated collection about shared human experience. It includes beloved essays along with 6 all-new pieces exclusive to the book. Published by Ebury Press, cost of the Kindle edition is Rs 310. Next on the list in the fiction category, we recommend The Nutmeg's Curse, Parables for a Planet in Crisis by Amitav Ghosh. 4.6 stars on Amazon, 4.3 on Goodreads. Tracing the threats to our future to the diversity of the New World and the sea route to the Indian Ocean, The Nutmeg's Curse argues that the dynamics of climate change are rooted in a centuries-old geopolitical order constructed by Western colonialism. The story of the nutmeg becomes a parable, revealing the ways human history has always been entangled with earthly materials, spices, tea, sugarcane, opium, and fossil fuels. Our crisis, Ghosh shows, is ultimately the result of a mechanistic view of the earth, where nature exists only as a resource for humans to use for our own ends, rather than a force of its own, full of agency and meaning. Published by Joan Murray, cost of the Kindle edition is Rs 270. The fourth book is It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. 4.5 stars on Amazon, 4.4 on Goodreads. Number 1 bestseller in crime, thriller and mystery. Goodreads Choice 2016 winner. With this bold and deeply personal novel, Colleen Hoover delivers a heart-wrenching story, an unforgettable tale of love that comes at the ultimate price. Lily Bloom, the protagonist, is a 23-year-old college graduate who recently moved to Boston from Plethora, Maine. Lily hasn't always had it easy, but that's never stopped her from working hard for the life she wants. The book gives you an intimate picture of the character's relationships with multiple people throughout her life, from easy and smooth friendships and cute first love stories to complicated parent-child relations. It allows you to see life from different perspectives and understand the complicated nature of human beings. Colleen Hoover's writing portrays emotions with exceptional ease and tackles complex topics without making it complicated and confusing for the reader. Her writing makes you smile, laugh, cry, and rage alongside her characters. Published by Simon & Schuster, India, cost of the paperback edition is Rs 219. The last recommendation in this category we have The Tattooist of Auschwitz by Heather Morris. The novel is a heartbreaking tale of love and survival amidst the horrors of Auschwitz. Based on the true story of Lail and Gita Sokolov, 2 Slovakian Jews who survived Auschwitz, the book is a testament to the endurance of love and humanity under the darkest possible conditions. When Lail, given the job of tattooing the prisoners, saw Gita waiting in line, it was love at first sight, and in that moment, he was determined to keep both of them alive. 4.6 stars on Amazon, 4.3 on Goodreads. Published by Bonifer Zaffre, cost of the Kindle edition is Rs 266. With this, we have come to a close for this month's edition of the BookKey. In our last edition, in our trivia section, we had asked you this question. What is the real name of the famous author of Alice in Wonderland, Lewis Carroll? The correct answer is Charles Lutwidge Dodson. The question for this edition is, which novel introduces us to characters such as Arthur Dent? Let us know your answers in the comment section below and we will reveal the answer in our next edition. If you found this video informative, give us a big thumbs up and share it with your friends. Also subscribe to Endeavor Careers for upcoming follow-up videos. We will be delighted to know if you found our book recommendations informative and interesting. See you next time with more such specially curated recommendations for you. Until then, dream, endeavor, achieve, and happy reading.